Hello everyone, it's Father Hayes, and we are continuing our series of videos on the Mass. And for the last several videos, we've been weaving together this tapestry with different threads or different themes to help us have a context for understanding the Liturgy of the Eucharist. So now we're going to start going into the main parts of the Liturgy of the Eucharist in a little bit more detail. So to begin with, the Liturgy of the Eucharist, we can divide into three parts. And that would be the offertory, the Eucharistic prayer, and then the communion rite. Now within this is kind of another thematic video, even though we're getting into these individual parts, because one of the other themes that emerges and is very informative for us, but also very important for us to have as a context, because it's going to help us continually go deeper. This is where we're starting to really go out into the deep water of the theology of the Mass, is what is referred to as the glorious exchange. And in fact, we hear this reference of the glorious exchange in the prayers over the offerings from the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And this really captures this great mystery of the Liturgy of the Eucharist. So this is what the prayer over the offerings for the 20th Sunday of Ordinary Time says. Prayer again is being directed toward the Father from the priest. Remember, the priest is also standing in persona Christi, so it's the Father or the Son dialoguing with the Father, but also humanity participating in that dialogue as members of the mystical body. So the prayer is, receive our oblation. Now remember, our definition, oblation, we are referring to as a thing presented to or offered to God, something offered in worship or devotion. Okay, so receive our oblation, O Lord, by which is brought about a glorious exchange, that by offering what you have given, we may merit to receive your very self. Can you say that one more time? By offering what you have given, we may merit to receive your very self. And so the glorious exchange begins with a recognition that everything we have, whether it's the physical material elements that are the grain that is becomes the bread which is then offered, or the grapes that will become the wine that is offered, whether it is our monetary donations that are offered as part of the offertory, whether it's our very selves, offering ourselves as sacrificial victim, that everything first comes from God and is given to us. And then in turn, we offer those. So those offerings, we will see the transition will take place where these offerings later become sacrifices. And then in return, we receive again. But what we're receiving now is not simply more material things, but we're actually receiving God himself in his body, blood, soul, and divinity. And this mystery of what we receive is continually unpacked in the prayers of the Mass as well. So, because what we're really receiving when we receive God is we're receiving that pathway to divinization, where we're sharing the divine nature so that we are able to participate in the Son's relationship with the Father on the level of their divinity. So, staying with the 20th Sunday in Ordinary Time, this is the prayer after communion. Made partakers of Christ. So this is referring primarily to, through his human nature, we have access to his divine nature. So really it's a reference ultimately to our divinization. Made partakers of Christ through these sacraments, we humbly implore your mercy, Lord, that conformed to his image on earth, we may also be his co-heirs in heaven. So it's in this glorious exchange, first we're receiving on the level of nature, on the natural level, the things of this world. And then we are using those to in turn make offering, make oblation to God, and in turn receiving a supernatural reality. So we always say grace builds on nature, so we can see that progression in this. And this is brought out even more specifically in the prayer after communion for the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time. We entreat your majesty most humbly, O Lord, that as you feed us with the nourishment which comes from the most holy body and blood of your Son, so you may make us sharers of his divine nature. So right there in the prayer, the end goal is being articulated. The end of what we receive in this glorious exchange is that God is first giving us existence. He's giving us the material world to sustain us. We in turn are offering oblation through this material world, and in return are receiving God himself, so that in turn, building on that, we can participate in the life of God on the level of the divine nature. So it's so important as you are attending Mass to really pay attention to the prayers. The prayers are really what take us into the deep waters. What an incredible drama that is unfolding before us. And what an incredible privilege it is for us to be able to be participants in this drama. May God be with you.